This is the CBS Sunday Night News. Bill Plant reporting. Good evening. In New York tonight, the politics of character. New questions for both Bill Clinton and Jerry Brown. And in Washington, the politics of abortion. First, the pro-choice marchers and their warning to politicians. Rita Braver has our story.
We'll remember in November. We'll remember in November.
Hundreds of thousands of pro-choice marchers came to Washington. Their fear is that the Supreme Court is about to allow new abortion restrictions. Their hope is to elect politicians who will restore abortion rights.
No candidate who seeks our vote must get it unless he or she promises to protect our rights.
The difference is going to be made in the voting booths by all the people here and the people back home.
Pro-choice candidates were everywhere. Democratic presidential candidates Bill Clinton and Jerry Brown both abandoned the New York primary race long enough to make an appearance. Celebrities rallied the crowd.
We are here to say to the government, you got enough problems of your own. Stay out of my womb. Right?
President Bush wasn't around to hear any of this or to field the tennis balls with pro-choice messages lobbed over the White House fence. There were a few anti-abortion activists in the crowd, but the day was won by the pro-choice side, which has to know that winning the election will be a whole lot harder. Rita Braver, CBS News, Washington.
There was good news in Puerto Rico for President Bush and Bill Clinton, who won easy victories in today's primary there. But as Tuesday's New York primary vote approaches, the campaign continues to get rougher by the hour. Richard Threlkeld reports that both Governor Clinton and Jerry Brown faced new character questions today.
Bill Clinton spent much of today answering still another question about his past. It turns out he'd received his draft induction notice in 1969 before he joined an ROTC program and got a draft deferment. Clinton, who later gave up his deferment but was never drafted, was asked why he never mentioned the induction notice.
It was a perfectly normal procedural thing. There was nothing unusual about it, and that's the only reason I never said anything about it.
But it quickly became more fodder for Clinton's opponent, Jerry Brown.
Turns out that he wasn't telling the full truth on that. It's incredible.
Brown, meantime, had to respond to a Los Angeles Times story reporting he'd awarded judgeships to more than 100 people who'd contributed to his campaign for governor of California.
As a governor, a lot of people like to give you money because they want to obviously make friends with you. So it isn't unusual that people who want something out of government contribute. That is American politics, folks.
Songus may help you.
Finally, there's a last-minute effort developing for Paul Tsongas, whose name's on the ballot here even though he's dropped out of the race. Tsongas says he will have an announcement after the primary, and if he does well enough, he could be back in the running. Richard Threlkeld, CBS News, New York.
Still ahead on the CBS Sunday Night News, the Orioles prepare for opening day at a brand new old-time ballpark.
How fast does Anbesol start to relieve toothache pain? Before you can say
Anbesol.
denture pain? Before you can say
Anbesol.
relieve minor mouth pain on contact with Anbesol in regular or maximum strength.
How am I supposed to fall asleep with this pain? I could take one of those nighttime pain relievers with a sleep ingredient, but all I really need is Advil. Advil is so effective, it relieves the pain, so I can get to sleep.
Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Everyone has a dream, a vision deep inside.
With all the mutual funds out there, I needed an easy way to help me compare them.
We make it easier to follow your own lead.
With Schwab's free mutual funds performance guide, I can compare track records on over 500 funds.
Always there to give you just the help you need.
Help yourself at Schwab today.
Tomorrow is a day of decision for thousands of workers at Caterpillar Incorporated in Illinois. They must make a choice, their union or their jobs. Regina Blakely explains.
When you cross that line and you break your own strike, you'll go back in there, and whatever the company damn sure wants to do with you, they'll damn sure do it to you.
Caterpillar, the nation's largest manufacturer of heavy construction equipment, has threatened to permanently replace over 12,000 United Auto workers if they don't report to work by 7:30 tomorrow morning.
It's kind of a shock. You know, most of the people I really didn't think the company would ever stoop this low.
Labor experts say Caterpillar's hardball tactics could redefine labor negotiations across the country.
What seems to be an issue now is Caterpillar saying the price of our success will be workers earning less. And that sets up a pattern that is very frightening to many workers in the industry, certainly.
And company officials say they have already waited too long.
We've been at an impasse since March, and we think it's time to end that impasse. We'd like people to come back to work.
But tonight, it appears as if the majority of the workers will remain loyal to their union as they brace for tomorrow's deadline. Regina Blakely, CBS News, Peoria.
Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart stores, has died. He was 74. James Hattori has more on the Arkansas billionaire who revolutionized retailing for small-town America.
Though he'd been diagnosed with an incurable bone cancer in 1989, Sam Walton remained to the end a guiding force in the business empire, which made him the third richest man in the country. Just last month, President Bush presented him with the Medal of Freedom. Walton, always self-effacing, thanked his employees.
And the greatest thing is that we've got ideas from all 380,000 people in the company, and that's the best part.
He began with a single store in Arkansas 30 years ago. Today, Walmart is the nation's biggest retail chain, synonymous with modern discount merchandising. His stores changed the face of many small towns in the South, often displacing the mom-and-pop stores, which couldn't compete. Mr. Sam, as he was known, strived to instill a homey feel in his operation. He gave employees the opportunity to buy stock, and they profited. In return, Walton asked for a dedication to customer service.
Walmart's future in the 90s will depend on how well you individually take care of each customer a day at a time, customer at a time, a store at a time.
Walton's vision of service and growth survives him. Analysts predict Walmart's annual sales could double to $100 billion by the end of the decade. James Hattori, CBS News, Dallas.
Now's the time for Centrum Silver, because you're over 50 and you're out there swinging. Centrum Silver, a complete vitamin formula for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
Good morning.
Hope they like me.
Getting ready. A teacher's best has gotta shine through. Folgers wakes up the best in
Folgers Crystals, mountain grown, fresh brewed, then custom ground into crystals.
Don't worry, they'll love you.
It's not how you make the coffee, but how the coffee makes you feel.
Opening eyes, opening doors, taking the morning and making it yours. Folgers wakes up the best in you.
Denture adhesives, only one holds the strongest, and it's just taken a turn for the better. Fix-It-Int's new Easy Twist Cap. It's bigger, it's a snap to open, and it's one more reason to fix a dent and forget it.
Deliberations resume tomorrow in the drug trafficking trial of Manuel Noriega. The jury began considering the case yesterday, but took a break today. Iranian dissidents stormed Tehran's mission to the UN today, and they briefly took one person hostage before they were taken into custody. The New York assault, together with attacks on Iranian embassies in Germany and several other countries, were all in protest of Iran's bombing of a rebel base in Iraq. In Moscow, Boris Yeltsin faces a critical test tomorrow when he goes before Russian lawmakers. He's trying to turn back attempts to limit his powers. Jonathan Sanders has more.
Boris Yeltsin was busy maneuvering today, preparing to take on political opponents left, right, and center at this week's Congress of People's Deputies. This morning, before a gathering of liberal politicians, Yeltsin promised tax cuts for consumers, support for businessmen. And the Russian president insisted that he, not the Congress, needs more power to rule. In the past, Yeltsin has handled congressional opponents masterfully. And in preparation for yet another encounter with them, he has moved aside key aides who have offended many. It was a move to deflect criticism of painful and unpopular policies. Most unpopular, the radical economic reforms that have filled some shops, but at mind-bending prices. Public opposition has been restricted to communist diehards and right-wingers,
like those demonstrating against Yeltsin in Moscow today. Yeltsin's strategy is to tolerate the extremist fringe while moving fast to prevent the formation of a broad coalition that could challenge its plans to reform Russia. Jonathan Sanders, CBS News, Moscow.
Excuse me, do you know what stock options are?
I wish I did.
When is a weak dollar good for business?
Good?
I don't know. The world of finance and investing can be pretty confusing unless you call for this, the Wall Street Journal's video guide to money and markets. It explains the markets in clear, simple English and brings them to life. This exclusive 30-minute video is free when you call for 13 weeks of the Wall Street Journal for just $37, over 20% off the newsstand price. Subscribe to the Journal and get a daily view of the whole world of business and how it affects you. Information you know you should know. Call now, and you'll be ready next time someone asks you, are munis always a safe investment?
I'm not sure.
Call toll-free 800-854-1700 for 13 weeks of the Wall Street Journal and your free video on money and markets. That's 800-854-1700.
President Bush will toss out the first ball tomorrow as the Baltimore Orioles take on the Cleveland Indians to open Baltimore's brand new ballpark. And oh, what a park it is.
This is what baseball should be. It's grass, and it's outdoors, and sun, beautiful ballpark. Well, I'm thrilled. I'm just glad to be here.
I think it's fantastic. Oh, it's beautiful. It makes you feel like a kid again.
From the commissioner to the fans in the bleachers, they're singing the praises of the new ballpark in downtown Baltimore on the site of the old Camden rail yards.
For your Baltimore Orioles!
30,000 fans got a sneak preview Friday as the Orioles beat the Mets 5-3 in an exhibition game. From the real Maryland bluegrass to the easy slope of the upper deck to the classical archways and wrought iron detail, this park, built for baseball only, was a crowd pleaser.
We went to the old park for years, but didn't compare. No comparison. No comparison.
The outfield, with its view of the Baltimore skyline, is asymmetrical. 335 feet down the left field line, 319 down the right along the old Baltimore and Ohio warehouse.
It's going to be fun to watch. See how people play differently, the caroms and the angles. It's going to make it a very exciting place.
And though it may look a lot like older parks, Wrigley, Fenway, and Ebbets Field, it's all luxury on the inside. Indoor pitching and batting cages, and a clubhouse appropriate for millionaire ball players.
This is the ultimate right now. I don't think there's a better ballpark in the country.
I love it. I think it's really good.
Well, you've probably already figured this out, but of course there's still no such thing as a free lunch. Ticket prices in the new park are way up, although the bleachers are still a pretty good deal. And finally tonight, forget presidential politics. Americans can vote for a king starting tomorrow. Ballots will be available at post offices to select next year's Elvis Presley postage stamp. Fans can choose between a young Elvis and a heftier, more mature Elvis. That's the CBS Sunday Night News. I'm Bill Plant in New York. Good night. Have a good week.